Was to bring back our boys who had died over there, and that was really hard. I mean, if you're asking me, what makes you sad or anxiety, and it was that he had to do that, and I was really not happy that he had to do that, but it was just it's just part of what he did. And I think he was very proud that he could help by doing that, because that's part of their mission too, to bring everyone home. So, that's...
Has he talked to you about it? Did he talk to you about it when he came home?
Well, at the time he did, but again, that's been quite a while back. And, it's one of those duties that, again, he was, I think, very honored in a sense, too, to be able to do that, to bring these boys home. But it's hard, I think, to see young men and women who are, your age, ending their life in that manner. Bring them into Andrews Air Force Base.
Okay.
And then from there, they go in different directions, and families bring them home. Yeah.
Okay, so when did he finally leave the war theater?
Well, except for the 6 months that he was actually there living in Oman, and he was, and then he was stationed in Germany, he was always like constantly flying in. So it's a little different for them than the people who are there day in and day out. So yes, he was part of it, but he was part of the part that was the support. They bring the food in, they bring this in, they bring supplies in, they take out what needs to be taken out. So it was massive support is what it was.
When did he finally come back to the United States?
He came back from Germany in 2005, and then that's when he cross-trained to be a loadmaster on, again, the C-17. And then he was stationed at McCord Air Force Base for a while, and then to Alaska. And when they get to Alaska, they are now in support of the Pacific Theater as opposed to the European Theater. And so anything that's needed worldwide in that theater is what they focus on. So, again, depending on where you're stationed, that's who you're supporting and where you're going and what's needed. He was there until 2010, and then he was asked to be a trainer and an instructor, an evaluator for people who were learning, who were working on the C-17s. So he went to Oklahoma, which is where all the training takes place for those on the C-17. And he was there for 4 years. And then, which was very, he was asked to do that, which means he knew his job very well. And and that, I think that was good for him. He excelled in that. He did a great job, and now He's a planner. He's a mission planner for the C-17s and missions supporting the highest level of government right now. So, in a few years when he's finished with this, he's probably, he will have his 20 years in as an active duty person, and he may get out, and then he may stay a few more years, who knows.
You mentioned that you contacted him to tell him that you were going to be interviewed.
Right.
What was his reaction? Was he happy that you were going to be able to tell your story?
Yeah. I don't think he knew what to make of it, actually. Well, he was very supportive of me of doing this. Yes. And so he sat and talked to me a long time about things that I had forgotten, especially the sequence of events. When I was writing some of these things down, I just didn't realize how much he had done. Yeah. How much he had done, how much he had accomplished.
But how proud
Yeah.
you must feel of your son.
I am. I'm very proud of him. I'm proud of my whole family.
Tell me about your daughter-in-law.
Right, yes, my daughter-in-law. She was also a career military person, as were her parents. Her parents weren't careered, but they were, her mother and father were both Marines in the Vietnam War. Lovely, lovely people. And she is now retired. She retired last year. She had gone into active duty a little bit earlier than Mark. And she herself has had a very good career. She was also a medic and an air vac person. And she, after they came back from Germany, she was more in charge of the healthcare and training in some clinics, and again supporting the military at home. When she got back in San Antonio, she was a hyperbaric technician and trainer, and she was in San Antonio. And then when they moved to Alaska, she was in charge of the OBGYN clinic there. So she's really terrific. She's got really good management skills, and they've paid off for her. She's had great assignments that she's excelled in, and I'm proud of both of them.
If you were to give some advice to any new mothers whose children will be deployed soon, or have been deployed, or want to even join the military, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that that they need to really search their hearts to see if this is a good fit for their child. I mean, and a lot of times our fear really trips us up. And sometimes you have fear and you're not even sure what the fear is about, except that you want your child to be safe. And, but at the same time, if they have chosen this, let them at least try it out. the military is not going to keep you. They're not going to encourage you to stay if you are not a good fit. I mean, that's been my experience. So, and then at the same time, if you are a good fit, there's a lot of support for what you want to do, what you want to go into. The newest member of our family who is going into the military is now studying to be a doctor, and he's going through as and he will become a military doctor. Now, will he make it a career? I don't know. I mean, many people don't. But the experience is generally something that will boost them up and make them more confident. I think the military has that where it helps you mature. And I think that's true of men and women. It gives you a background that when you come out, if your 2 years or 4 years or 8 years of service have been a good experience, that you come out with a good resume, you come out with a skills that are employable. So I would think that, it's when you join the military, it's not necessarily a lifelong choice, unless that's what you want to make it.
Which that seems to be the case for your son.
He made it a lifelong
He
choice.
did.
Yes, and it has been very good for him, and so did his wife. I have a nephew he's in the Army, and he was a young man who made this choice, and it was not the first choice his parents would have made for him. And he so far has had a wonderful career, and he is now out as of a month or two ago. And sometimes, well, right now we're in a time when they're downsizing. So sometimes you may want to make something a career, and it just doesn't work out because we are downsizing. And that's what happened to my husband and I after the Vietnam War. They needed to downsize. They didn't need the troops that they had. So I don't know if we would have made it a lifelong choice if we had had the opportunity to do that. But then my husband joined the reserves, and he thought it was important to do that, and he's been very happy doing that. So that's, so in the long run, so that's what I would have to tell parents, not just mothers, but parents, that, their child has to make that decision. And I would say support them as much as you can, have faith, pray for them, that they make the best decision for themselves too.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving this interview.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.